It's 6 p.m. time for the news bulletin on Channel 2. I am Bethha, and starting off with the main headlines of the day. President Sisi greets Denmark's king over holding European Union Council's rotating presidency. Foreign Minister Abdulati intensifies contacts with senior officials over unfolding Middle East conditions. And Hamas seeks ceasefire guarantees as scores more killed in Gaza. Welcome back, the news in full. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi today greeted Denmark's King, Prime Minister and people over assuming the rotating presidency of the European Union Council. Via his social media account, President Sisi expressed confidence that the Danish kingdom will play its role with the spirit of responsibility and collaboration. The president said that Egypt hopes that the Danish presidency of the European Council will contribute to enhancing peace, security, stability, justice, and growth in the European continent and in the world as well. The head of state noted that Egypt is looking forward that during its current presidency, Denmark will support the interests of the African continent and developing countries and will accelerate the European response to the Middle East issues along comprehensive, fair partnerships. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi today issued decrees whereby Ahmed Saad Ali al-Shazli will be appointed as Presidential Advisor for Financial Affairs and Ashraf Ibrahim Atwa Mujahid shall be appointed as Deputy Chairman of the Suez Canal Authority. Minister of Foreign Immigration and Expatriates Affairs Badr Abdulati today discussed the Middle East developments in phone calls with his Syrian and Saudi counterparts. Talking with interim Syrian Foreign Minister Asad al-Shaybani, the foreign minister reiterated Egypt's support for launching a purely Syrian comprehensive political process without foreign interference. He asserted Egypt's full rejection of the repetitive Israeli violation of Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The Syrian minister, meanwhile, reviewed the political, security, and economic developments in his country. Meanwhile, Egypt's top diplomats and Saudi Foreign Minister Faisal bin Farhan talked about the upcoming steps toward the implementation of an Arab Islamic plan for early recovery in Gaza in light of Egypt's willingness to host a conference on launching construction the war-torn strip. The two ministers tackled efforts for resuming a ceasefire agreement and immediately accessing humanitarian aid in Gaza and pressed for holding an Iranian-Israeli ceasefire and resuming diplomatic channels on a permanent settlement on Iran nuclear program. To the same end, Minister of Foreign Immigration and Expatriates Affairs Badr Abdulati reviewed over phone the latest regional developments with the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres and the U.S. Middle East Envoy Steve Witkoff. In the first phone call, Abdulati reiterated Egypt's firm stance on an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, holding the Iranian-Israeli ceasefire and resuming negotiations on Iran's nuclear program. On Sudan, the minister affirmed Egypt's absolute support for Sudanese territorial integrity and stressed the necessity of hammering out an immediate sustainable ceasefire at the neighboring country. The conversation also covered the developments in Somalia, with Egypt's top diplomat asserting his support for the African Union mission backing Somali security and stability. Minister Abdulati, meanwhile, told the U.S. envoy that Egypt is intensifying contacts with concerned parties to hammer out a ceasefire in Gaza and hold firm the Israeli-Iranian ceasefire onto a resumption of talks of Iran nuclear program being necessary to calm regional escalation. Minister of Foreign Immigration and Expatriates Affairs Badr Abdulati today reiterated Egypt's supportive stance to the Somali security, stability, and territorial integrity. The minister made these remarks as he took part in a virtual ministerial session of the African Union Peace and Security Council on the unfolding conditions in Somalia. Minister Abdulati reiterated Egypt's support for Somali security, stability, and territorial integrity. The minister made these remarks as he took part in a virtual ministerial session of the African Union Peace and Security Council on the unfolding conditions in Somalia. Abdulati said that Egypt is gravely concerned regarding the continued security challenges posed by terrorist groups in Somalia, the forefront of which is Al-Shabaab, and he stressed the significance of security as smooth transition of the UN Somali mission to maintain security in the African country. The session followed up the transitional process of the African Union mission in Somalia to the African Union Support and Stabilization mission in Somalia. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot said today that his country would decide whether to reimpose sanctions against Iran over its nuclear program, depending on whether Tehran released 2 French detainees charged with spying for Israel. He said that releasing French detainees is an absolute priority for Paris, adding that any decisions on sanctions will be conditional on resolving this issue. Paris has toughened its language towards Iran in recent months, notably over the advancement of Tehran's disputed nuclear program and its military support for Russia, but also over the detention of European citizens in the country. The Russian Defense Ministry said that troops have taken control of the settlements of Razin and Milovi. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli today shared a follow-up meeting of the pace of work at the linkage of floating gas units of the national grids of the natural gas. Meeting with Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources Karim Badawi, the Prime Minister has been keen to follow up the procedural supplies of natural gas to different electric production stations nationwide, ensuring the continued operation of these stations and preventing any electric power cuts. The Petroleum Minister asserted the stability of natural gas supplies, meeting the needs of pivotal sectors. Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat, hailed the upgraded tools of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia in the fields of financing, preparing budgets and improving debt management. The remarks were made during Al-Mashat meeting with Rola Dashti, Executive Secretary of the ESCWA, to review a number of cooperation files. The meeting took place on the sidelines of the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development, currently held in Spain, to discuss means to enhance joint economic ties. Oil prices were lower today after jumping 3% overnight as Iran suspended cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog, and Brent crude futures slipped 0.8% to $68.64 per barrel, while U.S. crude was 0.7% lower in the day. Gold prices also dipped, easing 0.1%. That we come to the end of our news bulletin. Thanks for watching, and that was Basma Taha signing off.